Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up with Brad Langle today, CEO at Go Gold Resources. They're after silver and gold down in Mexico. They've raised some money recently. The drill results continue to spit out high grade numbers, and there seems to be a lot of contained metal in the ground. But what are their plans? Are they going to be able to expand the Los Ricos South project? What are the sorts of targets that they're aiming for, and exactly how do they plan to develop the Los Ricos North project? Apparently a resource due out later this year. If you want our thoughts and opinions on that conversation, topics discussed, the company and Brad, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. We've got commentary from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities. We've got training courses on there, and we do summaries of all the interviews that we do to save you some time, because we know you're busy people. But most excitingly of all, there's a wonderful, thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, friendly, safe environment, free from all that judgment, trolling and abuse you see elsewhere. And I hope that sounds appealing to you. And if it is, go and join them at cruxinvestor.com/club. There's a bit of a waiting list at the moment until our new platform comes out in the next 2-3 weeks, but it's well worth the wait. So get your name down there, cruxinvestor.com/club. And we'd love your feedback too. So give us a like, leave your comments below. And if you want to see exactly what we talked about today, do take a look in the description below. Brad, how are you, sir?
Oh, very good, Matt. How are you doing this morning?
Not too
Afternoon
bad.
Or whatever.
It's the end of the week here, Brad. It's almost red wine time, almost.
Yeah, I think the pubs are even open over there, right? You can have a beer now, can you?
Outside in the freezing cold. It's a joy.
Okay.
Where are you? Whereabouts are you?
I'm at our office down in Chihuahua, Mexico. So I'll be down here for the next month or so, visiting our projects and working with the technical team.
Okay, cool. When did you get down there?
About 10 days ago.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, and how are things? Is everyone working normally there?
Still a lot of precautions, and no, not normal. And obviously, traveling is difficult, and so this is not my normal. I don't usually come for this long, but when you go back, as rightfully so, you have to go through quite a quarantine process. So in these times, I come for longer visits, and it's good to be with the team, right? It's good to be these technical guys. That's where it all happens, right? Sometimes we forget this is we have a market, but the market we have is driven by that technical success. And we really are building a business, and it's not just definitely not just about promoting a stock. We want to have the meat on the bones, and that's what the technical guys do, and that's what's been a big part of our success. So I want to be close to those guys as well.
And what's the mood like in terms of doing business, or certainly for miners in Mexico? Any kind of fallout from any of the commentary from the government?
No, not really. I mean, I've been here my whole career, and I know there's some chatter around, but really, I find that the government here is very supportive of us in mining. And one thing with the pandemic, they recognized very early that mining is very, very essential to their economy, and they made it an essential business in the economy. Now we do lots and lots of our protocol for COVID is very strong. And, untested all the time, and we test our people all the time, and we've really done well at limiting any damage at all.
Okay, I guess you get to kind of used to a slightly different way of working, as long as it's not impacting the ability to do work. That's fine. Right. Hey, well, why don't you kick off with that customary 1-minute overview for people new to the story, and I'll pick it up from there.
Okay, Go Gold. What we are a junior. I think really we're moving into becoming a mid-tier though. We have one producing mine that has been last quarter generated $6.7 million US in free cash flow at the mine site. We also are a very strong company as far as our balance sheet. We currently have an excess of about $73 million US in our bank account. We just completed a financing this morning, actually. We closed that financing. So we generate cash flow from our operating mine. We have 8 years more of reserves there. We've been operating that for 7 years. But really the driver of value here, as you know, Matt, is our Los Ricos district, which is fast becoming one of the really important silver districts in the business.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the new news, which is you've gone and raised some money. 25, is it 25 million? Is that the number?
25 million. It was oversubscribed, and it filled the green shoe for the over allotment that the investment bank had on the deal. So a little over 28 million Canadian.
Right. Okay. But here's the big questions everyone's asking, which is because you raised a big chunk of change last year too, right? And you thought, right, we're kind of good for the drilling on Los Ricos North, and and all the other kind of smaller bits and pieces that you needed to do. Why go and pick up $25 million now? You didn't need it.
No, I mean for tomorrow, did we need $25 million? No. But really, what do we have here? We worked in the first 24 months at Los Ricos. We've only been in there a little over 2 years. And in the first 22 months, we arrived at a resource in the south of 63 million ounces silver equivalent, 20 million ounces of inferred on top of that. So the 63 is measured and indicated, the highest category. Pretty good for a maiden resource to have that much measured and indicated, and then 20 million of inferred. And also we got a PEA done, Matt, and it came out with a net present value of $295 million for that first target. And, you think about that and you say, well, okay, the CapEx for that's going to be $125 million. And, we're growing this asset so quickly right now with drilling. And it's, we've taken this thing from 0 to 83 million. We're drilling in the north now with 9 drill rigs, and we're going to have our first resource out in September. I feel comfortable saying that's probably going to be, it is larger than Los Ricos South. So quickly we move this thing into something that's becoming one of the most important silver assets out there, I believe. And, I think it's de-risking. If you're have $73 million US in the bank and you're generating cash flow, we can put the pedal to the metal on a district that is simply the best thing I've had in my career. And that's how we build value. But, like I mentioned at the first of the call, we're a business. We're not all about promotion. And sometimes, we're even accused of being a little bit too conservative. But really, as we go along here and we build the tens of millions and hundreds of millions of ounces in Los Ricos, there's always that possibility that this incredible pipeline that we're developing here will be the pipeline that some major needs in their company. But when we get there, when we finish the engineering, as we've done before, we've built 4 mines. In Los Ricos South, we'll build that next mine. And it'll be a positive event while we're developing more ounces in the north. So imagine if we get to the point that nobody has bought us out when it's time to build that mine, we're sitting there and we're building something that's has a NAV of $295 million. And up there in the north, we're still drilling away, and we have something even looks bigger. I mean, we're really developing into the mid-tier with the best pipeline in the business.
You've mentioned the word district there, and what I'm trying to do is kind of piece together all the parts, because I've seen nothing but high grade drill results, large widths, which we're talking about on the lower grade side. So the contained metal component, which you've always talked to us about, you're building a picture there, but. Come back to me, if you don't mind, on you felt the need to raise the money now. You don't need it, but you want optionality. How are you going about piecing this together? Because it feels like you've kind of left Los Ricos South behind. You've done that, and it's all about what's happening up north. And is that what we can expect to see more of going forward?
Well, just back to the point about raising the money for a second. So when we first talked, I think we were 40, 50 cents.
40,
and 40 cents, right. And then we raised some money at 70 cents. And we were producing cash flow, and people said, well, why do you have to raise some money? Well, we want to go full speed ahead in Los Ricos. We don't want to be turning 3 drill rigs. We want to be turning 9 drill rigs. And so we raised the money at 70 cents. And then, the stock by the got to $1.50. We raised a little bit more. And the point is, we're just raising small pieces every time. So 70 cents, $1.50, $1.50, $2.50. At the end of the year, we were talking, we're over $2 and at $2.50. And every time that we've done this, it's been, 4% of the market cap, raising another chunk. But the important thing here, especially for anybody who's thinking about coming into our company now, we just raised money at 250. We have a track record of returning a return to that new shareholder coming in every time. And of course, to the guy who's been there 70 cents, he's not upset that we're at 250 now. And that maybe, the guys coming in right now at 250 are looking for 350 or $4. So we're trying to have a good balance of raising little pieces along the way. Someday we may have to build a mine that's $125 million capex, and not having that overhang. If we had waited, maybe we get to, a year from now and we're building a mine, or 18 months from now, and everybody says, okay, GoGold has $25 million in the bank. They got to build a mine that's going to be 125 million. I'm talking US dollars here. That's a big overhang. And that will affect at that time that stock price, because everybody says, okay, how are they going to do it? Right? So it's a strategy. I think it's a good strategy. We did that in the past with the other mines. And it's one that's good for the new shareholder coming in, good for the shareholder that's already there. And by the way, we brought in some great new institutions as well. And we see institutions that are like pension funds coming into the stock, some large ones. And it's always good to have the interest of those new institutions, not only our retail shareholders, which we have a great base of great retail shareholders, but it's great that we build up that institutional shareholder as well that are interested in what we're doing over here at GoGold. And that's the logic in this financing. And we de-risked things. Every time we reduce the risk. We reduce the risk in the company by having a strong balance sheet. And the best thing is having a district like Los Ricos.
Yeah, look, okay, I buy that, and I don't think anyone's going to argue with you having taken it from 40 cents to 255 to 260 in no short order. The new shareholders come in. Obviously, you set out and were seeking institutional investors. Is that what you needed to kind of get that balance right?
Well, we also want the retail shareholder to be interested as well, but yeah, we want that balance. We want that good, solid balance of institutional shareholders as well. If you look at our liquidity over the last year, our liquidity has grown dramatically. And, we've had good stability in our price. I mean, we raised last September at $1.50. And, from last September until, well, I hope it's changing right now, we've been a little bit a downdraft in the commodity price. But we moved from 150 to 250. And I think part of that is because some new real great institutions came in at 150. And, they're very supportive. And we got a lot more analyst coverage as well. Came along with those banks getting involved in the deals and new institutions. We get analyst coverage. And the good thing about the analyst coverage is that, they are really looking in detail at what we're doing. And they're, some of those institutions will look at the analyst coverage and they say, okay, the commodity price came back a little bit, but we see that they're adding a lot of value here in the company, and the price continued to go up, and we held on to that 250, where others have really backed off, right? So
okay, well, like I say, I buy that component of it, but talk to me about the building of mines. Okay, there's a process you kind of go through, because you said there earlier. If someone doesn't come and take us out, we're going to build this mine, right? So, and I know you've done it before. So what is the process? Because there's a kind of lethargy in the market when you put out, it sounds really weird, when you put out high grade results, great drill results, week after week after week, people get, blind to it. They stop listening to it. And I think you're at that point. So what I'm kind of desirous of is for you to say, well, look, we will continue to do that, but here's the moving parts and here's how we're going to piece it together. And eventually the picture will become clearer. So, I mean, what is that picture?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we have been putting out a lot of great drill results. I mean, this project, I've said it for a long time, it's really the best thing I've had in my career, I believe. And the consistency of good, not just high grade, but wide zones, bulk mining, the consistency of that is quite incredible. That's why I do believe it's one of the real important, will become one of the very, very important assets in the silver space. But you're right, people just, okay, what's that next, 6 kilo result, or what's that next, 150 grams over 50 meters, what's that mean? That'll unfold a bit more in September when we come out with the next resource in Los Ricos North, and people look at that number, and it's not identical, but you'll say that number, you'll look at, hey, well, you have 83 million ounces in the south. That's 295 million at $15.50 gold and $21 silver. You've got that number, that target. Well, this is how much you have up here in September. Wow, that's more. And so that could be this. So there's part of that. I think that I don't want anybody to think that discovery has ended, though, in the Los Ricos district. Even in September, when that resource comes out, we're just coming out of the gate here. There's a lot more discovery to be made. And we've been talking so much in the last year about Los Ricos North. We haven't forgotten about Los Ricos South. There's a couple things going on down there. One is, we're doing engineering work down there now, taking that from a PEA and progressing things like metallurgy towards feasibility, and progressing design of mills and things towards feasibility. We're just quietly doing that work. But also in Los Ricos South, I think you're going to see some drilling down there again in the near future. We're looking at some of our other targets like Jamaica, which is just a couple kilometers away from our pit, or our proposed pit. And up at Jamaica, we're thinking that maybe we might have some more bulk tonnage up there. And man, would that ever impact things on that target? If you could bring in a few tens of millions more ounces of silver equivalent, especially in the open pit, that would really accelerate up that net present value, because, hey, you have your $125 million capital. That's not going to change much if you bring in more tens of millions of ounces more. All that's going to change is that NAVs is going to go up proportionally a lot more. So that's an important thing that's going to be coming. Will be a next catalyst coming. But in the north, and maybe I just share a couple slides here,
sure,
because I want people to understand.
Before we do that, let me just try to understand.
Yep.
So you are going to go back to Los Ricos South, tinker around, a bit of engineering, drill a few holes, try and add a few more ounces is the idea, because the incremental gain there is significant. It's kind of disproportionate to your current cost. Okay, got that. And then
very, very significant. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what I mean. It dramatically, a few tens of millions of ounces changes the return significantly. But Los Ricos North, sorry, give me the timing of that again. That you're aiming for a resource by when?
September.
September
of this year.
Okay.
First resource. And so just to kind of put everything back into framework again, there is our target in Los Ricos South there right now. Here's our Jamaica claims are right up here. So they're not that far away. So that if we get some open pit kind of stuff up there, that stuff we can easily truck down to the operation in Los Ricos South. So that's one thing. We'll be doing some more exploration back in Los Ricos South. And, that was one of the use of proceeds in this recent financing. Also, Los Ricos North, though, more importantly, we do recognize that Los Ricos North is the biggest part of the mineral system, we believe. But it's exploration. You can get surprises in exploration. We might have a big surprise down there, Los Ricos South, and lo and behold, it's grabbing the limelight. But right now, what we have and where we've got some incredible surprises have been in Los Ricos North in Favor, El Arito, Casados, Trini. And here's another one that we're going to probably have some more news on. I've talked about it before. It's called El Nayar. We've had guys up there since late last year. They've been doing a bunch of surface sampling. We're getting some very high grade numbers up there. Now the drill's going to, soon the drill will be drilling there, and we'll see if we have a nice discovery there. Look, we do tons and tons of surface sampling. I mean, we're kind of beyond the point where we're putting out surface results. It's the drill hole that is really important to us. So there's going to be some more news on that in Nayar. But one other one here in El Arito. In El Arito, which is part of Favor over here, that was a new discovery only months ago. Nobody had ever drilled a hole there before. And now we've drilled quite a few holes here. We're into our 50s on holes. Just one moment here. I want to show you one. Yes. First, what we do, Matt, is we go in and we obviously do a bunch of mapping on surface, and then contingent on the numbers we see on surface and if you see structures and things, the technical team says, hey, let's drill here. And one area that's been very important has been here and here, where it's returned very, very wide bulk mineable zones. Interestingly enough, in between there, they didn't see anything on surface. Now, we've recently said, well, are there any hidden targets here? And we've done some geophysics, and it showed something there. It showed something that looked like this. So now we're drilling holes there, and we don't have the assays back, but visually you look at these holes and you say, well, okay, there's your massive sulfide again. There's your, galena, sphalerite, black sulfides, which typically means silver to us. And so we think there might be another discovery there, and that'd be beautiful. Just connect those two real nice ore shoots. And then we're looking at something up here as well on surface, where it's apparent on surface, and we'll be drilling there. So El Arito really can add a lot more ounces. And then we've had our Casados. It's been, it's something that we worked about a year getting this deal. And we've been drilling up there now, and we're into about hole 50 up there as well. And we stepped out, and we've seen it now out in this area. We've hit some good drill results, and also down deep here, we're drilling some very deep holes here. And I say very deep, 350, 400 meters. Again, visually, we see the same kind of zone that we're seeing up here, nice widths. We think we could have some high grade. So these are two areas that are really, we think, are going to add. And then that one up there in the north, Nayar, we think that's another area where we're going to have a discovery. But I think, the last 12 months have been all about discovery in Los Ricos North. And I think we're heading to a very significant number here in September.
Tell me, discovery is a kind of big word. And it's not used a lot. So what do you mean by discovery? What does that imply? What should we be thinking when you say that?
What's important to us as far as discovery is more of what we've seen so far, which is bulk mineable, good wide widths. But when I say wide widths, I'm also talking good grade for those kind of widths. I'm talking your, for example, over at Favor here in one of our last press releases, more than about 120 grams of silver, but over a 70 meter wide width. That's really wide, and that's a great grade. I mean, if you look at Los Ricos South, that's more than 2 times our cutoff grade in the open pit down there, and that's much narrower than that. It's kind of 20 meters and an 8-to-1 strip, but this Favor would be a much lower strip and many times wider. But here, there's a lot of talk in the market about people love the kilos. And all of these zones, we have the narrow portion of the kilos. And if we wanted to, show this or market this as being a narrow vein, high grade, we'd have kilos. They're in pretty much every press release. But obviously that's not the way you're going to mine this. That's the advantage of this, is that those kilos are surrounded by great moderate grade or good grade even. And that allows us to bulk mine them. But discovery, I think Nayara could potentially be another one of those discoveries like the Casados, like, El Arito. So another one that it's, instead of times 4, it could be times 5.
Okay. And
5 zones instead of 4.
Just sticking with trying to understand the vocabulary is, again, you talked about this as a district play. I get the Los Ricos South, you're up in Los Ricos North. How do you go about building and confirming that it is a district? And again, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think what I mean by that it's a very significant district in the silver space is that we get to something that's, okay, I'll be a little bit, I'm going to think I'm maybe even conservative, but we have to do the work, obviously, Matt. We have to put out the resources. We have to do all the drilling, but certainly it's going to be something that I think could be more than 200 million, maybe more than 250. Maybe it'll get to over 300 million ounces of silver equivalent. And that'll make it one of, especially at these grades, like I know of other projects where they talk about, with equivalent this, equivalent that, they talk about more than 500 million. But the grades really aren't that good. And at the end of the day, it's going to be about what you can mine, because resources are one thing, but when the rubber hits the road, it's about reserves. And I think our resources are high quality resources. And I think they could be in the hundreds of millions, but they're going to be high quality resources. And, there's always, when you look at a project in this business, there's a risk from resources converting to reserves. And it's, when companies are out there talking about the resources, which is what we have now, our resources, you want to look at those resources and you want to think, okay, these are the kind of things that you think could convert to a reserve. At the end of the day, everything we do heads towards a mine. And I think our resources are high quality resources. So again, back to my point, I think Los Ricos will become one of the really important silver district projects in the silver space, and maybe more towards the top of that list is of really important projects in the space. So that's my gut feel. That's the technical team's gut feel on the way things are moving in Los Ricos. And, the company, it's great. It's great that we have cash flow at Parral. And some people say, well, you have cash flow, well, you don't need money. But, we are a business. We're moving the business along. We're building resources, high quality resources. Then they become reserves, and then they become mined ounces. And hey, we continue along that process because that's the process we control. Now, that's not to say somebody doesn't show up. There's a lot of major mining companies out there who maybe they're looking at their pipeline and saying, it would be awful nice to have this added into our pipeline. There's a lot of value in this. This really cements their future. I'm the second largest shareholder of the company. What I'm about here is making money for the shareholders, which I'm a very large one. So certainly I don't have in my head that, no, I need to build the next mine. If a great deal comes here for all the shareholders, we certainly are entertaining that deal. But if we get to the point where it's time, we have all these hundreds of millions of ounces of resources and, they're converting to reserves and it's time to build the mine, I've got the technical team that can do that and will do that. And we have the balance sheet for it. So that's important, I believe.
But you've got to get the timing right. There's a bunch of factors there. I get the ability to build mines, and I get that if the right offer comes along, you've got to consider it on the behalf of shareholders, of which you're a significant one yourself. But if I'm looking in as an investor or potential investor, I'm thinking you got to time this right, because you're already of a certain size, right? You're 700 million market cap already. You get a little bit, so you could get a little bit too big. So you're gonna have to make a choice soon about whether a sale makes sense, or the market may, well, your market cap may define actually that you're gonna have to build it. So there's a trade-off there, isn't there?
Yes. And I try not to arm wave too much, but I can tell you I am very excited about what we're doing. And I think 700 million for this district and where we can go, that's not a big number yet. I think I really do believe that. I believe there's the potential to clearly show the value in this district that can drive us well beyond $700 million market cap. But you're right. You get to the point, maybe it's 1.5 billion, and then your list of acquirers becomes shorter. That's true, But I feel like we're just getting started here. I think the catalysts that are going to come over the next 12 months will bear that out, that statement out. But we want to de-risk things. We built the balance sheet. That's de-risking. We have a strong team that de-risks the technical side. We built mines before, and Los Ricos South is, it sounds like a big project, a 5,000 ton a day mill, open pit, but it's a great project, 125 million. It's something that when we get there, and we can build that. No issue at all. But we're just getting. I really do feel this way. We're just getting going here. We're not tapping out Los Ricos at all. And when we put out a resource in September, that's going to be because, look, we've been drilling here for over a year. I think you, the shareholders out there, you want to know how far we got in that little bit over a year in Los Ricos North. You want to know how many ounces we put together. And by no means does that mean that's the ultimate number in Los Ricos North. We're going to keep on going the next day with the same drill rigs and keep on building. But we want to keep our shareholders in the loop here. We want them to understand how much value we're building in this. And we're building a lot, and we're building it in a hurry. It's going to be reflected.
Beautiful. Well, that'll be a moment where there's a marker in the sand. We get a sense of the scale of what you're trying to do there. I'm excited to hear how you get on with the additional drilling outside of Los Ricos North focus to date. Like things like El Nayar, and obviously great, but also down on the Los Ricos South. And we'll see what you can do. Look, Brad, I just wanted to catch up on the money. Trying to understand why you went for it now. And you've explained that, and also the sort of things that we should be looking out for going forward. So anything else that we need to know about that you will be coming back to market with in terms of announcements?
No, not really. I mean, it's going to be drill results. It's going to be discovery. It's Parral is chugging right along. 8 more years of reserves. I mean, we can't discount the fact that Parral has given us some very nice cash flow.
Yeah. What's it running at the moment?
That's a really...
At today's prices?
So last quarter was 6.7 million free cash flow. I think, that kind of around $6 million free cash flow at the mine site is a good number. And we just released, our production results, and we said in that release, those were not financial numbers, but we said we felt that we did more than $5.5 million US of free cash flow for that quarter. So we'll have financial results out next week, and then more and more drilling and more discovery, and building towards that resource in September. And we're totally committed to building value here, Matt, and I think we're using good, prudent, sound experience, good logic around the project. We de-risk it. We want new shareholders to come in to the company, and we want them to make money, and we feel they will, and we are very happy with the return that we've given so far to our shareholders who've been involved for a while, and we see much more of that coming. So, we're just really getting going here with Los Ricos. We're still early in the game.
Nice way to leave it. We're just getting going. Right, look, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on and explaining where you're at, what you're doing. Good luck and continued success to you. Thank you.
Great. No, thank you, Matt. Thanks to the interest of our audience. Thanks.